And you will be on Facebook Live in a second.
Nice. And we only 6 minutes late. Chris, I'm gonna open up and toss it to you, okay?
Okay, that's fine.
It's loading. I think you're actually on, but it's just a matter of loading.
Okay. So I'm not seeing it, but
Just a moment. Just a moment.
okay.
And go live.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Great afternoon. It is Friendship Friday with the force of friendship. Yes, yes, yes. We are here. And you guys, I got to tell you. So let me turn my ringer off, okay, so that we don't have that happening. But this is your girlfriend, Andrea C. Scott, all the way from Jacksonville, Florida. And I have my amazing girlfriend. Let me tell you something. Her name, she says Andrea Scott. She so wants to be me. You know what I'm saying? I know it says Andrea Scott. Will the real Andrea Scott please stand up? Right? You guys, you guys know our girlfriend, Chrisette Ellis. We were having some technical difficulties today, and so we just kind of made it happen. We made it happen. You guys, thank you for hanging in there with us. And I know you see our beautiful girlfriend, Katrina Harris Earl, her picture up there, but let me just tell you, she ain't there, okay? But we thank God for her amazing cousin, Dr. LaRue, who is pinch hitting for her today. She's in travel status, and so many of our, you know, we have such busy lives, don't we, Chrisette? And we're always, all the girlfriends are traveling. Everybody's on a plane or somebody's on the road or whatever. And so y'all get us today. So get excited. So I want y'all to know we had a topic that we wanted to share with you guys. That was something that was a hot topic for us, and we really wanted to put it out there and just discuss it. But we have to has to take a back seat because there's so much happening right now, and we have to talk about the elephant in the room. And so I'm going to toss it to my girlfriend, Chrisette Ellis, because this was something that she was passionate about, and we were like, okay, we're gonna put Ariel on the side, the princess. But we'll be back to that. Yeah, we'll be back with the princess, okay? But we definitely want to talk about hit on this because it's so important. And so, Chrisette, go ahead and share.
Okay, well, happy Friday, everybody. Happy Friday. So glad that you could tune in, and I'm sure many of you will see this a little bit later, but there's so much going on. I'm telling you, you turn on the television and, you know, and I am a CNN junkie. I really kind of have weaned myself away because so many other things to do. But if you watch any kind of television, any of the news stations, you see everything that's happening. And I mean, just give it a couple of days and there's another big story. And a couple more days, there's another big story. But the story that really has been going through the news cycles, turn on any major news broadcasting station and you will hear about sex trafficking. Right now, you know, everybody is talking about the labor secretary, Alex Acosta, who has recently resigned because of all the controversy around him as the U.S. attorney in Miami during the time where Epstein took a plea deal. And so just wanted to talk a little bit about that situation. And I'm going to tell you something. It's amazing how there's some things that you just don't know a whole lot about because it's not been a part of your life. It's not been a part of your experience. And so, yeah, sometimes ignorance is bliss. But once you become aware of something, it makes you, you know, it
forces you.
Yeah, it does. And it shows you how much is going on outside that you don't know about. And many times, you know, we need to know about these things, and so that we can get involved and lend our voice, lend our influence to different situations. And so when it comes to sex trafficking, you know, I can't really put my finger on when I first heard about sex trafficking. I would say probably over the last maybe 10 years or so, I've become a little bit more aware of it, but really from the standpoint of it was something happening in other countries far away from the United States. And so sometimes when you hear about things that are happening that's not happening right here in the US, you kind of think, oh, it's happening over there, you know, poor them, you know, what can we do to help until, as they say, the roosters come home to roost, and you find out what is happening in my own backyard.
Right.
And so because it's being talked about a whole lot now, especially, of course, we know the Me Too movement is different, but because a lot of different sexual predators and different things like that is in the news, I said, you know what, let me just kind of take a look at, you know, this sex trafficking, where is it happening? And you guys, it is happening right in our backyard. So I did some research, and according to the International Labor Organization in the US, and this is as of 2017, it has been estimated, you guys, that 4.8 million people, mostly women and children, were victims of the commercial sex trade. $4.8 million. Who knew that? And according to this particular labor organization, that and the National Center of Missing and Exploited Children, it is estimated, you guys, that 1 in 7 runaway children are being trafficked in the sex trade. And so, you know, when I thought about that, I said, my goodness, this is happening right here in the US. And, you know, when I looked up what are some of the major places that this is happening in, well, I was very surprised, you guys, to learn that right here in Michigan, in the Detroit metropolitan area, it is one of the top 10 places that children and women are being held captive and taken to be a part of the sex trade. And I mean, that is right here where I live. And so, you guys, this is a conversation that we have to have. We have to have it with our children, and we have to have it amongst each other, because sometimes we believe that this is only happening to poor people, or it's happening to you know, a part of society that, you know, they don't,
a certain demographic.
Exactly. But you know what? It is happening to
everybody.
It is happening.
Well, you know what it is. It's a crime of opportunity, and let's be clear, it's a crime. It's a crime of opportunity, and you know, there's a lot of stuff that we were not privy to before, Chris, because we just remember when all we had was newspapers.
True.
How many people would read that? I mean, really, you know what I'm saying? You'd have the newspaper off. And so the newspaper, most people weren't reading that. Most people, you know, we didn't have the 24-hour news cycle.
Right.
And all of these things where we're bombarded with this information. So what's happening now is, while we're thinking this stuff was never happening in our backyard, we're just now, like you said, becoming aware of it because of the news cycle, the 24-hour news cycle, and the reporting that's going on about all of these things. And so it is a crime of opportunity, where predators look for people to feed their dysfunction.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And their sickness. And the thing that we have to understand when it comes to taking care of our children is sometimes we watch it because I think too, that we're so desensitized to all of the stuff that we're bombarded with and all of the evils and travesties. And that we just kind of watch it and we're like, man, that's messed up. And then guess what? We are on to the next thing, because listen, Do you remember when R. Kelly was indicted on the 10 counts of sex trafficking and, with underage, what did they call it? They called it aggravated sex abuse with minors. Do you know when that was, when he was indicted?
I don't remember, because we're on to the next. It was
February 22nd.
Wow.
Of this year, when they hauled him off and went and got him and brought him in, and he was indicted, and he's been in jail because, remember, I think he couldn't make his bail. I don't know if he got out.
I think some woman bailed him
That's right,
out.
somebody bailed him out or whatever. So now he's back. Okay, he's back because they have some new stuff that's coming up. And here's the deal: the covers have been pulled off. But the deal is that we move on to the next thing, and we don't really slow down to really understand the gravity. I had a conversation, well, not really a conversation, but I had my 14-year-old stepdaughter that was here this weekend. And as this stuff was unfolding with Epstein and with Acosta, I just kept thinking about that number, because the sex tape that R. Kelly had out was with a 14-year-old girl. And that's the thing that kind of got him caught up. And now this whole deal with Jeffrey Epstein and these 14-year-old girls. And here I have a 14-year-old girl in my kitchen, and I'm talking to her and she's hearing it. And I'm thinking to myself, these girls are her age, and they're innocent and unknowing, and as she is. And so I think about how many times, if she's out with friends, or if she's on the playground, or maybe she or any 14-year-old, they're texting and they're walking to the mall. Sometimes they walk into stuff and people because they're just not paying attention. We can't afford any longer to have our young girls, or even young boys. We can't even, because it's a smaller number, but boys also are in the same situation. But let's just keep the focus on the Epstein situation. And
let me jump in there, Andrea, and say, one of the reasons we have to be so vigilant is it is estimated that sex trafficking is a $32 billion
industry. That's right.
$billion
and that's where I was going about. It's gone from just the predators and their sickness to now profiting. It's a business.
It
and
is.
A lot of these girls, they get them here and they take them overseas, or they get them from overseas and they bring them here. It's an international kind of situation. You know what I mean? So
right. And just reading about it, is they were talking about, as what can you and I do as just citizens. We have to be watchful. And they were talking about, a lot of times these crimes take place right up under our noses, but we don't know what to look for. And they said, they're really trying to crack down on hotels, on resorts, on casinos. And they gave, some of the signs, for you to look at. But there are some reasons that some girls get lured into it. And then there are times where they are literally snatched. Or kidnapped. And so, some of the reasons why some girls find themselves, and we all know that there are times where young girls run away from home because of their situation or whatever the case may be. And I'm going to tell you, social media has done a lot. I mean, social media, it has that pendulum. It can flow one way, and yes, in a lot of ways, it's really, really good. But then when it goes in the opposite way, it can be really, really bad. And of course, you hear story after story where these young girls go online and they meet these pseudo boyfriends that promise to give them the whole world. And especially when you're talking about young, impressionable teenagers who may be going through something at home, or maybe there isn't a father in home, whatever the scope of the reasons, they find themselves captivated by this person. And then the next thing you know, they're having a rendezvous and they're meeting, and she thinks she's met Prince Charming, and come to find out it was
He's a wolf in sheep's clothing.
A wolf in sheep's clothing. And so some of the reasons are false promises of a better life. Another reason is they're offered to be things like nannies and models. I mean, many young girls grow up thinking, you know, if they have a certain look or whatever, and they see, you know, all of the glamorous style of a model, and people might have said to them in the past, oh, wow, you know, have you ever considered modeling? Well, here comes this person that says, hey, you know, we can definitely get you into a studio. You have the look. And so there she is off chasing that dream, only to find out the reality is she just got into a nightmare.
Right.
So,
and once you get in as a 14-year-old. So let's slow it down a little bit. 14. They just learned how to make what? Bacon and eggs? Maybe spaghetti. They know how to throw some soup. They could make a grilled cheese sandwich. They just are starting their, right? Probably their cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they're mentally.
This is what I'm saying. They are
immature.
They're kids. They can't drive, they can't drink, they can't make any decisions for themselves. They can't do any of that because they're children. So
right.
Imagine a 14-year-old and there's a grown man that is 3 times, in Jeffrey Epstein's case, almost 3 times their age. He's 66, I believe. And he had women luring these young girls. So not just men luring, now there are women. How do you
that were complicit?
Exactly. There's some kind of evil when a woman traumatizes a 14. Do you know what happens when a child is exposed to any type of sexual activity that she is not ready or prepared for? Do you know when she's violated? We gotta slow this thing down and understand the innocence that's taken away from a child at that age. That's something that never leaves you. It's kind of like once you hear something, you can't unhear it. Once your eyes have seen something, it can't be unseen.
Right.
You know, exactly. And so we have to really understand. And so, and here's the last thing I'll say, and then I'll turn it back to you, is that a lot of times the rich and powerful in this country or any country get away with murder. And I'm glad that Acosta resigned.
Right.
I'm glad that he resigned.
He should have resigned.
Because here's the deal. You're reading the statistics from the Labor Department. Well, he's over the Labor Department right now. That's his job. He is a labor secretary. Well, was the labor secretary. Well, still is until next Friday, I think. But there's no way that you cannot know. And of course, you know, I wasn't there, but what I'm saying is the deal that was struck, the backdoor deal, it's these backdoor deal situations that the wealthy a lot of times get dealt a totally different hand than a slap on the wrist versus some handcuffs on the wrist and shackles on the feet. And that's a big problem that has to be addressed, is that if this is the country for justice and liberty for all, well, then there's a big problem with the justice system. But I'm glad that now, at least from the Southern District of New York, the state's attorneys there, they are not playing the radio. Go home state, go New York, and not unfortunately, you know, I happen to live in both states, Florida, where Epstein, you know, he resides, and then he's got the place in New York or whatever. But I'm glad that he is going to pay for his crimes, and I just pray that God would bless and heal those women now that are adults. So
absolutely, and you know what, I'm glad too that, you know, he's been arrested and he's going to have to go to court, and the fact that they raided his $77 million home in
and the
Manhattan.
dude's got a private island too. I'm not hating on him for his private island or his 77 million, whatever, but I'm just saying He's a sick puppy.
Absolutely. And then, you know, they found all of these lewd pictures of women and underage girls. So the evidence is there. The evidence is pointing to it. Of course, we know everyone is presumed innocent until proven guilty. And so I'm sure, and I'm just glad that he is going to have his day in court. And what that does is, I'm sure, Andrea, there are some other high-profile individuals that are running.
Honey, they shredding stuff right now.
There's some shredding.
They burning. There's some fireplaces going in this 100-degree heat. They burning some tapes. They shredding some photos and all kinds of stuff. Listen,
absolutely,
coming on.
Absolutely, and you know what? That's good, because now they're finding out just because you're wealthy, just because you have money, does not necessarily mean that you're going to get away. And the other thing is, birds of a feather flock together. So let's be clear. We don't even know if Epstein will receive some kind of deal.
Like a pardon?
Exactly. Well, I don't know about a pardon, but some kind of deal if he rolls over and he tells them other influential, powerful people
trying to save himself.
Exactly. So I got a feeling if it's between
folks
me
going
dying in prison, he's gonna
sing like a bird. Okay, but I'm gonna tell you something, Chris. Something that you always say is, "Show me your friends, and I'll show you your future." Absolutely. I declare, and I know this ain't all your friends are jacked up. If all your friends are jacked up, everybody you know is jacked up. I just don't understand that. You need some new friends.
Yeah.
Don't you need some new friends? I think you need some new friends.
You absolutely need some new friends. And this is the thing, you know, and, you know, I'm putting on my first lady's hat.
Yes.
You know, there's a scripture that says, how can two walk together?
Unless they agree.
Unless they agree.
Amos
and so, you know, you're not going to find, you know, pedophiles that I hang out with. You're just not going to find it, because that's not what I do. And so
I don't even know nobody in jail.
Okay, how about that?
I didn't even know where the jail was in Jacksonville. I was like, oh, is that it? Oh, okay. I mean, no, somebody actually asked me that. They were like, you don't know anybody in jail? I'm like, not one person.
Wow.
Not one. And I'm not saying that, you know, because people, you know, whatever.
Exactly.
That's some people's circumstance, or people, you know, made bad choices or whatever. But that's just, I mean, it is what it is.
It is. And so, you know, as we get ready to wrap up this segment, because there's so many more pieces that we could talk about. I mean, this is one of those onions for real. When you pull one layer off, another layer comes. I mean, we could, you know, talk about, you know, the girls that are at risk. And, you know, as mothers, we have to be very careful and monitor and watch with, you know, all of the social media that's going on. I mean, we have to be vigilant for our children. So there's so many other pieces to this puzzle, but let me just give this number and we will post it on our FOF Facebook page. If you know of anyone that is being trafficked, or you think you see something, you know, we have a saying here, see something, say something. See something. And you know what? I'd rather be wrong than to not say something, because we all have that women's intuition, our gut feeling. And, you know, it's so easy to turn the other way and say, well, I'm gonna act like I didn't see what I saw. But you want to, I want to always be that person to say, if that was my daughter, would I want somebody to say, something just didn't look right, and err on, you know, the side of caution. Of caution.
I mean, be aware. We got to teach our girls how to be aware of their circumstances, not be so distracted. If you're leaving the mall and your car is parked somewhere and there's vans or SUVs or whatever in the middle of and nobody can see you once you go on that side, if it's dark, I don't care if it's light, then here's what you do. I remember somebody even said, open up the trunk of the cargo port and go in your car that way. and then
Yes.
close it down and climb in through to the, you know, whatever, if you have that type of vehicle. But the bottom line is, put away the cell phone unless you're talking to somebody and you FaceTime them saying, okay, I'm walking to my car right now and I need you to stay on the phone with me just in case, you know, but be vigilant. Do not think that it can't happen to you or your kids or your grandkids or your niece or nephew, the girl next door or whatever, because it's not until you drive home and see that caution tape around your neighbor's door or whatever that you realize that it can happen anywhere. So
It
that's the
can. I
information.
mean, you know, sometimes when you're watching the news and you know, I'll hear neighbors or people say this, you know, somebody got murdered or something bad went on, and sometimes it's an influential neighborhood
Right.
where the crime rate is really, really low, and they'll say, I just, you know, that kind of stuff doesn't happen here. We've never heard of it. But guess what? Crime can find you whether you're living in $1 million homes or you're living in the ghetto.
Mhm.
Sex trafficking can find you whether you are a runaway child or whether you are a soccer mom running out late to Target to
Right.
get, you know, to get some breakfast or some dog food or whatever, and you just happen to park your car, you know, all the way at the end, and it wasn't even a whole lot of cars in the lot, and you think you safe, and you just lackadaisical on your phone talking. You know what? I'm sorry. The days of innocence of you can keep your door unlocked at night, those days are gone. And we have to have this conversation with our girlfriends. We have to have this conversation with our daughters. So the number to call, and this is a number I would say, you know, store it in your phone, have it handy. Sometimes the information that we share may not be for you personally, but it may be for someone else. I think my responsibility, many times I say, as a pastor's wife and just as an individual, I can't solve all of the woes of the world. I don't know all the answers, but one of the things I try to do is be a person of resources. So if someone comes to me about this, that, and the other, I can always pray, but to be able to point them in the right direction, I think is important. So the National Human Trafficking Hotline is 888-373-7888. Again, that's 888-373-7888. That is the Human Trafficking National Hotline. So that's just the number to know, you know, just like there are, you know, national hotlines for women that are in abusive situations, they have a hotline for this. And so, Andrew, as we wrap up, you know, we just wanted to jump on. Again, this is a hot topic, and I think it's important that as your girlfriends, as the force of friendship, that we tackle some of these hot topics. And maybe you even know scenarios, or you know individuals who were in it or almost got kidnapped. We would love for you to share if you have stories. But again, we just wanted to jump on as good girlfriends to remind you to stay vigilant. Always keep your eyes open. If you see something, say something. Andrea, I'll give you the last words.
Listen, don't do nothing around me because I'm telling. Okay? I'm telling it all. I'm going to be like 911. I seen him, and yes, I will testify. So don't do nothing bad. Don't do nothing illegal or bad around me. But anyway, I just appreciate you. Thank you for the conversation. Thank you for bringing that up. Thank you all that are watching. And sometimes you may or may not agree with our opinions or our conversations or you know, whatever. But facts are facts, and we want to give you facts as well as our own thought processes and how it hits and how it affects us. But we definitely always want to come on and give you guys some good content and some good feedback and weigh in on things that are really, really important. So thank you for sticking with us. We know this topic was a little heavy, and sometimes we have fun and exciting, but this was a little heavy. It was a little bit raw. It's life, but it's real life. And so take care of your babies and your sons and your daughters. We love all of you guys. Thank you, girlfriends, and everyone. We appreciate you. Take care. Bye-bye.